everyone, this is Christos and welcome to another day in my life. Today's title is My Glutes Never Seem to Activate. This was part of a message I got the other day in response to one of my videos. They said my glutes don't seem to activate, and they've tried various ways to activate them, but it's still very, very hard. When someone says my glutes don't seem to activate, to my understanding, it's a muscle loading problem. So the muscle doesn't get put in a position to be loaded, essentially to be stretched on. And so the feeling of activation during activities and exercises just doesn't occur. This is common for many people, including myself. You might find your glutes are well activated on one side but not the other. So we're going to break down why this is the case. To understand this, we need to know what the glutes are responsible for doing in the walking cycle. So the glutes, and it's a much known thing. If you ask someone what do the glutes do, they will say extend the hip, so pulling the leg back behind you, abducting the hip, so that's pulling the leg out to the side, and externally rotating the hip. This is turning the thigh bone out. So you'll see common glute exercises might be kind of side-lying clamshells like this, or even standing hip abduction exercises. Now these movements look to shorten the glute. So you'll see we've got the glute at the back here attaching to the outside of the thigh, and if I pull the leg out, it's going to shorten the tissue. In motion, that would look like me kind of pushing away from that leg. With the leg going back, it would be pushing us forwards. So these are much needed motions for efficient forwards motion. But to feel the activation or to load the glute, we would actually be doing the opposite of these actions. So instead of the thigh moving away, we would actually have to see the pelvis moving towards the thigh, which would stretch the outside of the glute. If we're wanting to extend the hip to help us push forwards in space, we would actually have to encourage a flexion of the hip, that is to tilt the front of the pelvis down whilst the leg steps forwards in space. That would stretch the back of the hip. So an inability to activate a muscle or to stretch and load the muscle is an inability to find these positions that are opposites of the action of the glute. So we would, for good glute activation, we would need to be able to flex the hip. We would need to be able to adduct the hip, and we would need to be able to internally rotate the hip to get maximal load. A lot of people in kind of a gym environment will go looking for the opposite of this, and this is to do the glutes actions, but it's not the glutes actions we need. It's the opposite of them to load that tissue so it can carry out its response. So it's all to do with bone motion, essentially. So put simply, if your joints can't find this position, then you won't feel the glute load that you're looking for. And this requires a whole body understanding of how the body moves, not an isolated focus on the hips. Because when we're looking at flexing the hip, you'll see flexing the hip requires a leg to step forwards, and that requires a knee to bend. And when we look below the knee, we see that the foot needs to flatten. So if the hip can't flex to lengthen and load the glute, it might be due to the knee not being able to flex well or the foot not being able to flatten. If we look above the level of the hip here, the pelvis requiring a tilt forwards, well, what goes with that? We see actually how the spine here gets pulled into this kind of extension position. Can we extend the spine from lumbar to thoracics? And so this whole body approach or whole body lens is going to be the thing that enables you to help these joints find a position that enables the muscle, such as the glutes, to get sufficient load. So glute activation simply is to do with an ability to access the required joint motions, and less than efficient whole body motion is the culprit. So if you can't find your glutes, you can work at those hip motions, and if you're still not finding your glutes, start looking above and below, and one day you might just find your glutes. If you've got any questions, I look forward to hearing. Thank you.